created a new course that teaches reflexology practitioners the skill of therapeutic communication with their clients. I'm challenged to communicate the value of this skill. Reflexologists seem to think that good intentions are sufficient. This is my challenge. Okay. Well, Christopher, send me the link to that because I'd be interested to check that out myself. So just email me if you'd be so kind. But yeah, right. So this is the thing of I've got this boat. Isn't this boat amazing? And people are like, a great boat. I'm happy for you, Christopher. You made a course. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. But am I going to spend money on it? So I have to know what's the problem this solves or what's the result this is going to get me. That's the most important thing because the skill of therapeutic communication with clients. Well, I already do that, Christopher. You don't understand. I'm a holistic person. Inherently, any communication I have is therapeutic because I talk with this tone of voice, Christopher. Don't you see? It's sort of breathy. Don't you feel the therapeutic effect right away? Yeah. So they may not understand that. So one is to really clarify, okay, like what's the problem, the symptom this solves for them? And if there is no, like, what's the result it gets them? Is this going to get me more clients? Is this going to get me better clients? Is this going to help me get better results with clients, which means I'm going to get better clients? Is this going to get me more referrals? Is this going to help me get results with my clients faster? Is this going to help me deal with clients that are kind of stuck and frustrating from like how does this self-servingly help me as the practitioner is my big question. And then something I would do at a practical level is you could come up with a quiz or an assessment that helps them see how good is their communication. If you can figure out some way that they get a reality check. Now, and here's one. I went to a course called The Art of Leadership years ago. Yeah, about leadership, not surprisingly. And they how did it go? They had us fill in a self-assessment around leadership, which is a kind of sobering thing to do. You have to rank yourself 1 through 10 in a variety of categories. But the real kicker was they then said, now you got to get at least 6 people in your life to fill this out anonymously on your behalf. And then at the workshop, you compared your self-ranking with how you were ranked by others. And most of the time, what was interesting is we were too hard on ourselves. Yeah. They ranked us better than we ranked ourselves. So there was a lesson there. But sometimes people got real kicks in the nuts around it. Like you read it and it's like, oh, I thought I was great at this. And I thought I was a 10 and I'm getting a 2 on average. Oh no. So you might do something like that, and then you can have a self-assessment, but also if they, you can guide them to because it's a curiosity provoking thing. Like how therapeutic is your communication actually? It's a provocative statement to make. Like most reflexologists think they're communicating therapeutically and they're not. Are you? Take this quiz. Here's this assessment. Here's a way to find out. Because if you can open their eyes to like, oh, I'm not. Here's another example of this, of a way this can go. So there's a fellow named Hovert van Ginkel who teaches nonviolent communication and does consultation around this. And there was a school that brought him in. And the challenge was the teachers don't think they communicate violently. So why would they go to a completely optional class on nonviolent communication? They won't. That's the answer to that. So you got to find another hook. You got to find some reason. So they did. I just think this is so brilliant. They did a class called How to Deal with Difficult Parents. And while they were there, now it wasn't a bait and switch. They got things on because there are difficult parents, but they also got some reflection of like maybe the parent isn't the only difficult one in this interaction. Maybe some of this is you. So, you could have a class called How to Deal with Difficult Clients, possibly as an example. And in that class, you say, look, one of the reasons they're so difficult is because of the way we communicate. One of the reasons they're so difficult is because of how we are. One of the reasons they don't make or how to deal with a resistant or stuck client. It's like, look, one of the reasons they're so stuck is because we're pushing them so hard, or the way we communicate is actually creating the very resistance and trouble that we're trying to get to the other side of, etc. But again, so you see, the reason it worked in the school is because it was framed around a symptom that the teachers had. of dealing with difficult parents. That's something they're aware of. That's not a, I have to make a case that this is happening. This is a lived out symptom they are consciously aware of. They think about it before they go to sleep. God, I got to deal with Jimmy's parents tomorrow. Oh no. So unless we can find that, what we're just kind of screaming our point of view into the woods, and nobody cares. We're talking about our boat to anyone who goes by. Well, don't you want it? This is such an amazing boat, but they don't see a need for it. They don't see how it fits into their life. So we gotta figure that out. And by the way, one of the ways we can do this is a little pro tip to everybody. Let's say you have a diagnosis and you know it's true. So, like Ariel Paul was saying, they're overgiving, they're people pleasing, right? This is the diagnosis. We got caregivers and they are overgiving. Great. In this case, maybe we've got reflexologists who are not communicating as therapeutically as they could. That's the diagnosis. That's our assessment of the situation. Then the question is this. The second step is, okay, if a caregiver is stuck in people pleasing, what are the symptoms of that? How do we know? And we make a list of those symptoms. That's the headline material. That's the first part of the sales page. It's like, hey, are you this person dealing with these symptoms? Because they may or may not recognize people pleasing, but they will almost certainly recognize the symptoms that come from the people pleasing. But they got no way of trying to figure out what the gravitational center of all those symptoms are. Or in this case, yeah, if you're a reflexology practitioner and you've got just not therapeutic communication with your clients, okay, so then what happens? What are the symptoms of that, of not having that in place? Because those symptoms are recognizable. So, I could just riff on it and kind of freestyle. So, how do you know you don't have good therapeutic communication with your clients? Well, your clients vanish. They just don't come back one day and they never tell you why. They don't seem to be referring friends. They don't seem to be making progress. They seem closed off to you. They give you short, curt answers to your questions. So you can start to imagine what would the symptoms be? What do I see? And then they read that and like, oh, that is me. Oh, is that a result of me not having good therapy? And then you can lead them into it.